Hello, YouTube and X. It's your main man, BTM here, bringing you back to the BTM Crypto News Network. So thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hit your main man, BTM, up with a super chat. So thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And XRP is named top altcoin by Grayscale. Shout out to Grayscale and XRP, but you can tell the momentum for XRP is starting to shift. And as I told you at some point, right, the adoption will come and the momentum will shift and people will begin to pick up on the revolutionary tech that XRP actually is. So thanks for joining on this Wednesday hump day, this XRP future day. So let's start with the sponsor. Shout out to Caleb and Brown. Caleb and Brown is a crypto brokerage that'll help you along on your crypto journey, and you can see them in the description. Caleb and Brown helps 24/7 support, gives you a real person to talk to, not an automated system, not a buffer. Actual people that are concerned and help you on your crypto journey. And you do get a one-on-one broker. And I need to check back on my broker. I need to run my cheese. Now I'm playing, but I do get a personal broker as everyone that signs up. So if you have questions, you talk to the same person, and there's not confusion and updates and trying to re-explain um, what you like, don't like, and what you're looking for in your crypto. The actual broker already knows that information for you and therefore is very helpful. So shout out to Caleb and Brown. And also take time to help if you need help or updates, and they are there to jog you on that journey. What up, Silver Days, the hardest working man in crypto? I see you out here. BTM Crypto News Network. Let's go. Let's go, BTM. Go ahead and smash the like and subscribe. Thank you, Silver. And if you haven't hit that like button, go ahead and hit it and join the BTM mob. Let's go. So moving forward, this is the bubbles, as we always start with, and you can see here, World Liberty Financial is up 18.8%, down 2% on the day. Up 21.4 on the week, down 21.6 on the month to 12 cents. I don't know what's going on, but something must be really good for World Liberty. Ethereum is up 0.8, Telecoins up 0.4, Binance is up 0.7, Helium is up 11.6, CVX is up 4%, PIF Network is up 0.2 on the day, 0.9 on the hour, 30.9 on the week, down 5.9 on the month, and dang it, down, wait a minute, 20 or 72.8. Wow, I missed the heck out of that one. AIOZ is up 14.3% on the day, 3.4 on the hour, 13.6 on the week, down 20.4 on the month, and down 82.1 on the year. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Poly Mesh is up 0.8. Lithium's up 0.5. Litecoin's up 0.5. Trump coin's up 1.5 on the day, down 0.2 on the hour, up 10.2 on the week. down 30.6 on the week and down 79.8 on the year. Atmos is up 2.4, tons up 1.9. XVS is up 8%. SQD is up 2%. Cardano is up 0.2. Canton Networks up 1.2 on the day, 0.6 on the hour, 0.9 on the week, and 51.6 on the month. Let's go. Airdrome Financials up 0.6 on the day, 0.1 on the hour, 13.2 on the week, down 37.4 on the month, and up down 61.2 on the year. Quant, which a lot of people are talking about. I need to check Quant out actually. Quant is up 3.2 on the day. 0.7 on the hour, 1.5 on the week, down 13.9 on the month, and 27.9 on the year. So Quant's not doing too bad. They say Quant will be a major player going forward. Pi is up 6.9. Near Protocols up 0.5. Casper is up 2.6. Atom Cosmos is up 9.3. ZBCN's up 4.2 on the day, 0.4 on the hour, 6.6 on the week, 34.9 down on the month, and up 39.8 on the year. I don't like that. I need to just get back in the 70s too. How does it keep going down for the year if it's up on the, I don't know, man. Pow is down 2% on the, or up 2% on the day. Monero's up 1.5 on the day, down 0.4 on the hour, down 1.4 on the week, down 45.9 on the month, and up 42.3 on the year. Strongholds up 0.1 on the day, down 0.8 on the hour, up 2.4 on the week, down 35.9 on the month, and down 55% on the year. And let's see here. XRP, our favorite cross-border payment processor, is down 0.5 on the day, up 0.2 on the hour, up 7.8 on the week, down 27.3 on the month, and down 44.9 on the year, which is weird, especially with that announcement coming out. Looking at the big boys, Bitcoin is up 0.1 on the hour, down 0.4 on the day, up 1% on the week, down 28% on the month, and 30 on the year, down to 67,116. People are saying there might be a rally or it might be a push down. Let me know what you guys think about that. Ethereum is 1,977. This is my birthday, 1977. For the hour, we are up 0.2 for the day, up 0.2. For the week, up 2.7. For the month, down 38.9. For the year, down 27.8. And we already looked at XRP. So let's look at this quick video, actually. Let me see here.
Please read the disclaimer. XRP, they...
Okay. I'm tripping. Save that for later. Sure, this is stopped as well.
We have verified proof that XRP.
And I don't know why I have this open twice. Is this the same? Okay. So shout out to Wendy, Crypto Wendy O. So amazing XRP named the top altcoin by institutions. Grayscale just confirmed the massive interest. So shout out to the XRP army and the XRP holders. Let's play this video real quick.
We have verified proof that XRP is the second most popular crypto in the world. And it's not just my words, even though I've been telling you guys this over and over again, because I read all of your comments. But more importantly, the institutions are recognizing. And right after Bitcoin spot ETF, the XRP ETFs and traditional financial instruments were incredibly successful. On top of that, XRP holders hit a new all-time high of 507,110. Now let's go ahead and listen to this clip from Grayscale, one of crypto's TradFi leaders in the space, about XRP, what their clients are asking for, and let's go ahead and figure out if we can speculate anything at all.
We have a strong, vibrant community. I think it generally, from a blockchain and crypto perspective, there's a lot of cases where product market fit has kind of lagged the price sentiment and the narrative. We think that that's going to change over time. Battle tested blockchain that has a real opportunity to capture market share as we see the proliferation of these use cases. And ultimately, I think a lot of the excitement comes just from the demand. So, as we talk to investors around the country, enthusiasts, stakeholders, it's one of the broadest communities, and there are a lot of diehard fans. And the sales team was just telling me that, anecdotally, advisors are constantly asked by their clients about XRP. And in some cases, it's the second most talked about asset in this community behind.
As always, welcome back to the O Show, everything crypto every single day. I'm Wendy O. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and of course, set alerts to get more. Now in this clip, it was the Grayscale head of product, and she said advisors are constantly asked by their clients about XRP, and that in some cases, XRP, the second most talked about asset in this community behind Bitcoin. And she's 100% right. XRP is an absolute powerhouse because of what Ripple is doing. Now, even though Ripple might not work with retail in any capacity, XRP is the bridge that allows you to essentially be a part of what Ripple's building. Basically, Ripple is building a way to get in between the predatory practices of the institutions. They are competing with the institutions to bring more transparency and help them save on their bottom line, expand their business. And the way that impacts XRP in a positive manner is that XRP is used for various types of settlement when it comes to RLUSD and XRPL. And remember, RULSD is their stablecoin that is built on Ethereum and XRPL. And the reason why they picked Ethereum is because it is, in fact, Wall Street's chosen one. Right now, Harvard actually lightened some of their original investments into the Bitcoin spot ETF from BlackRock, and they're starting to diversify into Ethereum ETFs, which is incredibly smart because Ethereum, again, is one of the assets that is the chosen one of BlackRock thus far. Now, it doesn't mean that that won't change. It could be Solana one day, maybe XRP, who even knows? But right now, if we follow the money, not only do we know that retail's top pick is XRP, but following the money as to Ethereum, that is Wall Street's baby. And the way that that relates back to XRP is because Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD is built on XRPL and Ethereum. And again, I think that was an incredibly smart move because it will eventually start to add liquidity back to XRP because yeah, that's how that works. But overall, this is positive news and this is good news. And we should expect to see some more XRP ETFs launch soon. And hopefully things will start to pick up once the bull market resumes. And right now, Standard Chartered actually changed their price prediction on XRP, and they lowered it by 65% from $8 to $2.80 by the end of 2026. And I actually like this prediction. I think it's a fair prediction. I think it's a decent prediction. However, that may change if we start to get bullish again. And of course, as you guys know, we're literally just waiting on crypto market structure. Goodbye.
So shout out to Crypto Wendy. And as she says, XRP is also there as well, and Ethereum. And I think XRP is going to flip Ethereum. Phantom Beats 77. I'm 76. Different strokes rule the world. Bro, what do you know about different strokes? What you know about that? That's old school. These youngsters don't know about that. Different strokes. Different strokes. Different strokes. No, let me stop tripping. Hey Silver, what's going on? So this is the article. XRP has fallen roughly 29% over the past month, but some traders say the correction may be nearing exhaustion, setting up for a potential relief rally. Trader notes, crypto trader Columbus said XRP appears to have completed a clear 5-wave impulse decline, often signaling the final phase of a broader corrective structure. Price is stabilizing near the 105 to 110 as a key demand zone. Areas align with prior structure support. Also matches a projected Elliott wave completion region. If the correction is complete, Columbus says the scope for a multi-leg relief rally towards $1.80. Trader something highlighted XRP's 1 week funding rates have turned deeply negative, while open interest has declined to multi-year base levels. Historically, extended negative funding has coincided with major bottoms, including the 2022 cycle low, with only a deeper spike occurring during the FTX collapse. Prices now attempting to form a base around key intermediate levels, reinforcing the possibility of at least a short-term rebound. Crypto Tony cautions while the relief bounce may occur, first a larger downside move could still follow. He advised traders to avoid becoming overly bullish on the initial upside reaction. Statistics, crypto chart analyst Ali Martin reported XRP's network activity declined nearly 29% week over week, with active addresses failing from 55,000 to 40,000. The drop in participation may reflect a broader consolidation through it contrasts with improving derivative sentiment signals. Grayscale's head of production and research said advisors are constantly fielding client questions about XRP, calling it the second most talked about asset behind Bitcoin. She emphasized the strength of vibrancy of the XRP community within the blockchain and crypto cycles, pointing to the sustained demand interest despite recent price weaknesses. Another article, XRP emerges as the crypto everyone's talking about. Grayscale says, shout out to Grayscale. Reports of real world trials and settled questions from advisors are giving XRP its network fresh attention, but the story is part of optimism as and part early stage testing. Grayscale's investments reports growing advisor questions. According to the people familiar with the sales desk, the firm team keeps hearing the same line from financial advisors. Client wants to know more about the token. That curiosity, while loud, does not automatically mean money is moving in large sums. Ray, who leads the product and research at Grayscale Investments, said Grayscale, XRP ranks among the most talked about crypto assets, with many investors discussing placing it just behind Bitcoin. So that means in front of Ethereum, if you didn't know. Just throwing it out there. The firm's role in sales research gets asked about often leads product teams to track demand. Still, reports say advisors' interest is now a regular part of conversation that once focused entirely on Bitcoin. Advisors are constantly asked their clients about XRP. In some cases, it's the second most talked about asset in this community behind Bitcoin. I don't want to be the I told you so guy, but I'm telling you, all they needed was a little push. Reports have disclosed that big names in finance and payments are running trials on the network. BlackRock and MasterCard have linked to exploratory exploratory projects testing tokenization, instruments, and settlement funds. Pilots were set up to see whether on-chain liquidity and programmable money can shave steps from traditional processes. The work is at testing scale. It is not yet routine, and most of what the public is limited to proof points. And of course, they're not going to tell you how the testing going. They're not going to tell you what's testing. They're not even going to tell you they're looking at it until they actually start using it. And if they're testing it 9 times out of 10, they're going to use it, guys. Just read between the lines here. They're not going to test something and not use it. They're going to test it and they're going to streamline it and they're going to make it work for what they need, right? If they're testing it, they're going to use it. From working in financial services for a pretty good amount of time, they're not even going to waste time looking at something they're not going to use, right? If they're testing it, they're going to use it. They're going to figure out what's the best way, what's the possible way to use it, and figure out how to optimize it to make them as much money as possible. XRP remains at the center of the conversation. Reports note that advisors and retail holders mention it often, and that the community enthusiasm keeps it in headlines, but supply custody arrangements and regulated product wrappers are the things that actually move investable capital. Meanwhile, the ledger that underpins the token is being vetted for features at large institutions find appealing. The ledger pace and fee profile has been looked at closely in these checks. Enterprise features and tokenization funds. Reports say the network includes native AMM like mechanisms on ledger exchanges and trust line tools that can be adopted to compliance steps. These features are part of the conventional firms have willing to run pilots. Franklin Templeton and DBS took part in tokenizing funds work last year, testing how regulated assets might flow on chain better than liquidity. The results were mixed, but unstructured tokenization can shorten settlement windows, yet legal and custody questions take time to solve. Reports note collaboration between market infrastructure teams and specialist firms to enable fund share swaps and stablecoin rails. Scrutiny helped the bridge securitization, helped bridge traditional fund shares on chain. Representatives and Gemini were named in pilots that try converting funds exposed into a liquid on-chain firm. Interesting. Let's look at the market. So currently the crypto market is up 1.34% to 2.34 trillion. The CNC 20 is down 0.41 to $138.88. The fear and greed is pulling back to a 12 extreme fear. Altcoin season is pulling away from Bitcoin dominance to 32. And the average crypto RSI is 48.48. Imagine that. So XRP's price is $1.46, down 91.91% in 24 hours. Market cap is 88.8 billion, down 9.91%. 24-hour trading volume is 9.2 billion, down 17.25%. Update XRP Ledger activate permissioned DEX updates to boost institutional DeFi adoption. XRPL unlocks tokens escrow XRPLS85 multi-asset conditional settlement goes live. The XRP ledger just activated token escrow. Big news for XRP. The XRP ledger just launched the permissionless DEX, making it easier for institutionals to trade safely and follow regulators. XRP finds short-term support, but bears aren't gone yet. XRP slipped below $1.55 to $1.50, even dipping to $1.42 before consolidating. XRPL, XLS85, the new frontier programmable settlement. The XRP level has officially leveled up with mainnet activation of the token escrow. A lot of things happening on the XRP ledger. Starting a crypto exchange in 2026 is more notable. That's too much. Never read all that. Breaking out of the falling channel. Ripple has been trapped within a descending triangle and falling channel, but now it's nearing the key support zone. Price action shows a potential reversal with bulls looking to take control. If support holds, a breakout above resistance line could trigger a strong rally back towards the upper channel. This is actually, I want to look at this first. So for the XRP ETFs is down to spot is 3 million. Leverage volume is 9.9. This is pretty low, actually. I hadn't seen it this low in a while. Bitwise is down 1.21% to $16.53. 1.68 million 24-hour trading. Franklin Templeton is $16.07, down 1.30 to 715K. Canary Capital is $15.71, down 1.55%. Grayscale, come on, Grayscale, is down 2.32 to $28.68, 176K. So it's down pretty drastic. I remember it was like $40 or $30 a share. Rex Offspray is $12.17, down 0.16, 43,000 trading volume. 21 shares is $14.37, down 3.31 to 4,000. Volatility shares is $2.61, down 1.36 to 5.3 mil. Turcom X, Turcom X used to be the top. It ain't been in the top for weeks at $5.01, down 1.18%, 3.24 mil. Volatility shares is $8.46, down 0.76% to 958. Pro shares is $4.79, down 1.24% to 329K. Amplify $16.66, down 0.09 to 55K. This is the XRP radar. Total supply is 100 billion, and escrow is 30.9 billion. Circulating supply is 66.08 billion. XRP burn is 14.3 million. RLUSD is 1.52 billion. So it went up, right? It was like 1.4 something. Exchanges hold 14.11 billion. ETFs and indexes are up as well to 793.3. DeFi and AMM is 245 million. Tokenized RWA 1.58 billion. And the treasury is 473.3 million. And I'm actually missing something here. Where is it? It's not this guy. Not that guy, not this guy. Where is it? That's weird. Ah, here it is. Okay, so let's go back to on exchanges totals 14.11 billion. Upbit South Korea is up 2.5 million to 38.3%. Binance is no number here, 16.3%. Bitcoin's up 1.4 million to 12.7%. Uphold is down 837,000 to 11.7, and by BitBank is down 25K to 4.1% of the total supply in the exchange. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit your main man up with super chat. So for the XRP Ledger, XRPL, announcing new classifications for token as assets. Read the blog, distributed represented assets. So for distributed assets is up 50% on the 30-day to 448.9 million. RWA counts 104. Represented asset value is 1.54 billion, up 15% on the month. Stablecoin market is 426.07 million, up 6.7%. RWA holders is 26, up 85.7. I want to see what this number actually is. What is this? There's no hover here. Stablecoin holders is 35.47K, up 2.54. And this is the number. RWA 30-day trading volume is 149.63, up 95.3% in the last 30 days. Stablecoin 30-day transfer volume is a billion, up 30.32. So on the ledger, it looks like Ondo. I don't know any of the rest of these. And distributed RLUSD is 30 or 347.9 million. Ondo is 160.1. Interesting. A lot of interesting news there. So on the 5-minute chart, RSI is 42.1. RSI base moving average is 44.4. So we're getting back to oversold territory, and it's bullish on the 5-minute. On the 15-minute, it's also several red candles here. RSI is 39.49. RSI base moving average is 43. And we're also bearish on the 15-minute. On the 45-minute, RSI is below RSI base moving average. So it looks like that's still in oversold territory. And it is bearish, and we're losing volume on the 45-minute. On the 2-hour, whoa, serious red candle. Looks like RSI is 43.6, below the RSI base moving average at 49. It keeps us into overbought territory, and it's bullish or bearish on the 2-hour. On the 4-hour, losing volume there as well. It's bearish on the 4-hour, and there's a pretty big red candles. Looks like RSI is 47.2. RSI base moving average is 51. So keeping it moving. Going over to X. On X, Looks like XRP emerges as a crypto everyone's talking about, according to Grayscale. Emerson and MasterCard link platforms for cross-border digital payments. Crypto XRP. I don't know. Did I bring that article up? Definitely skipped that article. XRP news is special. I'm amazed of what's happening behind the scenes. Billions literally moving all at once. Huge news dropping today. If you're not following, you will regret. You will have regret. So what's the huge news? Like an old geyser is about to blow. So what's the huge news though? Crypto news, CoinDesk 20 performing update, Bitcoin Cash, Ripple XRP down 1.5. I don't even see Ripple XRP on here. That's weird. So is this an article or is this something else? I love when they bring an article up that has nothing to do with the freaking headline. More freaking clickbait. What is this? This is a commercial. What is this? This is a commercial. What does this have to do with anything? Trying to wait this guy out. Look, does it stop running? Or yeah, it's still running. Ericsson and MasterCard have joined forces to change how funds are transferred internationally by connecting Ericsson's fintech infrastructure with MasterCard to move money. The companies say they will integrate Ericsson's fintech platform, mobile finance services with MasterCard suites of payouts. The combined setup designed for telecom operators, banks, and tech firms. This is expected to support them in handling digital wallet features, which introduce additional payment products to improve access to people who are unbanked or underbanked. What does this have to do with Ripple? Combining Eric's trusted, scalable platform, MasterCard Move enables our customers to launch secure, efficient payment solutions faster than we ever have before. Together, we're driving financial inclusion, accelerating innovation, and creating new growth. Again, XRP is not even mentioned here. Keeping it moving. Back to another ad, another useless information. So keeping it moving. XRP trend reversal. I should have used this for the freaking screenshot thumbnail. XRP trend reversal ahead of 4 indicators suggest the bottom is in. Let's go. Let's make a note of these guys so I can add it to the report later. So if you're looking for those articles, they'll be on the page. Just making some updates. Don't mind me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit your main man up with a super chat. XRP trend reversal ahead. 4 indicators suggest the bottom is in. XRP has continued to recover after hitting a 15-month low of $1.12, and now exchange supply has dipped to a 5-year low, suggesting long-term holding. ETFs continue to record steadily inflows, and negative funding points to a short squeeze in an oversold market. The crypto market started February, one of the biggest value wipeouts in years. XRP wasn't spared, hit its lowest price in over a year to $1.12 the first week of the month. However, since then, it has recovered nearly 50% of its value, gaining 77% in the past 7 days to trade at $1.46 at press time. February has historically been bearish month for XRP. 7 of the last 12 years, the token has ended the month with a net loss. Some analysts who have projected a breakout year for the token have revisited predictions. The latest Standard Charter, which slashed its projection from $8 to $2.80 as reported. However, the token could break the curse this year, and the breakout from its 15-month low is a signal that the bulls could be taking control of the market. On one indicator, the trend reversal of stablecoin footprint on XRPL since the turn of the year. The stablecoin volume on the network has risen steadily, gaining the 36.7 to hit 417 million at press. Stablecoin volume that users are exploring the network's decentralized applications, which eventually increased demand for the native token. XRP supply on exchanges hit a 5-year low. Beyond stablecoin volume and activity, XRP's net flow on exchanges point to a trend reversal. Since December 2024, the supply on the token exchanges has been dropping. This figure is now at the lowest point since 2021. Decreased exchange reserves point to the market where holders are not looking to dump their tokens, which greatly limits selling pressure on a token. On Binance, exchange reserves stood at 2.57 billion XRP this week, the lowest it has been since January 24, data from Crypto Quant shows. In summary, reserves are declining while price remains low. This structure increases the probability of potential short squeeze scenario ahead, concludes Crypto Quant. XRP funding rates also point to a market that has found its bottom, and crypto positive funding rates show more traders are leveraged long and willing to pay to hold their longs. On the other extreme end, very negative rates show a collapse of long positions, which usually precedes a rebound as leveraged shorts are forced to cover their positions. On Binance, XRP funding rate hit 0.028, while the price dipped early this month and has yet to recover. So back to X. Arizona just named XRP and state law. MasterCard refers to its bridge currency. Wow. Something. Launch EUR CV on XRPL. Permission Dex went live yesterday. What does that have to do with Arizona? I don't understand that, but okay. Somebody explain. New alert. Bitcoin is watching BlackRock is watching XRP. TradeFi giants are eyeing XRPL, and they mean business. BlackRock is watching the XRPL. Facts. Banks are dying. Over 1,000 banks have fallen. One Ripple bank is now approved to use XRP as currency. What? Now, top XRP ledgers decentralized media tokens, BitToken has built partnerships with one of the largest XRP node providers, along with news on the XRP ledger. Good news, XRP, and thanks to Vet for keeping an eye on the updated. Much appreciation. Permission Dex is now active on the XRPL. Credentials, permissioned domain, permission Dex now begins the phase of bootstrapping the Dex. This is a quick update from 3 Warriors.
When things start going super green, do you already see this is really? I don't want you to get hype, and I don't want you to get stuck when things start going super green. Do you already see this is really important from a psychological component? Do you already see how the depression and anxiety goes away like that when markets just go a little bit green? Everybody gets bullish and everybody's excited on Twitter. Twitter's the greatest way to measure how people are going to get wrecked. Okay. The easiest thing to do is hype people up. Hopium is the greatest drug ever sold. It wrecks people. Money just moves from discipline to the undisciplined to this one. That's it. Okay. So as money goes up, as your assets go up, remember, they're going to pull profits. Maybe get your initial investment out. I don't want you to get hype.
So shout out to 3T Warrior. This is a quick one for.
But I have found it difficult. As Hijack paid for the trust, awesome. But I have found it difficult. Okay, if I pull my assets into it, including my LLC, do I need to rename the assets? This has been a struggle. It's a great question, Lori. So we actually have a webinar Thursday that you guys can participate in. I think we already have 1,000 people that are coming in for that, but we would love to have you there, Lori. We're going to talk about how to assign the assets in your LLC over to your living trust and what that process looks like. If you want to work with us on that, I think we're going to be like $500 to get that done, because we have had an overwhelming number of people ask about exactly what you're discussing here. And they want to make sure it's done the right way. And we may even have some type of discount code at that webinar. If you guys would, the people that are participating there, listen to the webinar, you're probably going to get a discount code on the $500. So I would encourage people to go sign up for that. Like I said, we've already got 1,000 people registered, but anybody that is thinking about a living trust, wants to understand living trusts better, what they're used for, how to, use your crypto and make sure that it's done the right way. We're going to have Dan Plaskett and myself on that webinar, and we'll walk you guys through step by step on what that looks like and how to do that and what is, best practice.
I might even check out that webinar. That's actually pretty good information. XRP offers spot ETFs, complete regulatory clarity, permission domain DEX XLS80, the native token escrow XLS built for institutions. The floodgates aren't opening. They're already opening. RealFi is proud to announce that Amazon is now approved vendor of RealFi ecosystem powered by the XRP ledger, valued around approximately 2.1 trillion USD. The processing over 830 billion annually. Amazon customers can now submit eligible receipts through RealFi to earn real token rewards. What? This milestone strengthens RealFi mission to drive global adoption or global blockchain adoption through real world transactions. So you can put the receipt on there? That's weird. XRP trading volume flips. Bitcoin in South Korea reaching $50.17. XRP overtakes Bitcoin in South Korea. XRP is trading at $50.17 US, while global exchanges show significant lower prices. This disparity is that. So how can they show $50 in Korea, but everybody else is $1 something? And how can I move mine over to Korea and make some money on it? Just playing. But why is their number completely different from everybody else's? That doesn't even make sense. But we'll have to wait it out and see. That's pretty interesting. Breaking news: XRP Ledgers goes institutional. The XRP Ledger has launched a member-only deck built for regulators. Breaking news: Amazon releases a paper confirming partnership with Ripple and the use of the XRP for payment transactions as Real5 begins payment rewards using XRPL real tokens for Amazon. February 28th, global XRPL tokens listed confirmed. Trillions in potential capital are reported preparing to enter the XRP Ledger ecosystem, with real token positioned to facilitate payment rewards across major merchants, including Amazon. With a 100 billion market cap, objective projections indicate Real could see significant upside from its current 0.043 to $80 or even 90 level under strong adoption scenarios. What is this Real 5? Is this a token? What is this Real? What are you talking about? This is a quick video. Breaking news: has named as part of the U.S. Strategic Reserve, confirmed by Brad Gensinghouse, as Amazon receives approval onto the XRP Ledger. February 28th, set for global XRP expansion. Trillions in potential capital are reported lining up to flow into the XRP Ledger ecosystem, with Real token positioned to power global payment rewards. RealFi has now approved Amazon as vendor. On February 28th, Real tokens are set to be listed on major exchanges. Six exchange handling over 3 billion in daily volume. Let's see.
was the different use cases between RLUSD and XRP. Maybe can you double click there and explain or summarize how do you see different individual use cases with one and the other?
Yeah. First of all, I think this is important to understand the difference because some misinformation, as again back to the tribalism point, some people I think misinterpreted our view. We remain completely committed to the XRP ecosystem for a whole bunch of reasons. It's an incredibly efficient blockchain, and obviously we own a lot of XRP. We are totally committed. As a reminder, XRP is the native token on the XRP ledger. It's required for gas, reserves, accounts ledger. But simply put, XRP is needed to use the XRP ledger. For Ripple and how we use it in our go-to-market as a cross-border payments, we use it as a bridge asset. It's very, very, very fast and nearly free for kind of per transaction basis. And we use it globally, and where currency conversions are less popular, if there's less liquidity, and that way it can complement a stable coin. So moving to the other side, Ripple has used stable coins for years, and we were using Tether, we were using USDC. And as time went by, we kind of asked ourselves, well, given how we at one point we said publicly we were minting 20% of all USDC. And so we kind of asked ourselves, well, wait a minute, could we participate in this market? And I think while we probably will still use other technologies at various points, I think we felt like there's a real role for us to play here. And look, stable coins are required for on-chain payments. And as more and more assets get tokenized on the XRP ledger, I think stable coins are going to be required. And that's partly evidenced even by the Ondo announcement from earlier today.
Well, we have still a lot to explore, and I think.
So shout out to Brad on that update. I guess we'll go to a quick video from Crypto Bullwinkle Blueprint.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing day. It's Wednesday, February 18th, halfway through the week. You love to see it. 2 more days left. Another weekend is here. Before you know, February's done. We're in March, the last day of Q1. And then the next thing, we're talking about summer break for the kids. That's crazy, man. I'll tell you. The older you get, the faster time moves. It's absolutely insanity. It really is. But here we are. Another day, another smile, another green morning. Let's talk about it, though. We got a lot to go over here. XRP. It just had one of the biggest structural wins in crypto history. And almost no one is talking about what that actually means here. Most people think that XRP is just a payment.
All right, welcome back.
A relic from last cycle, a legal battle survivor that finally got clarity. But what happened today? And I mean today, it isn't about price. It's about infrastructure. And infrastructure is what wins decades, not months. Because while retail chases narratives, institutions, they quietly choose rails. And today, those rails just got institutional grade. In this video, folks, I'm going to break down what the permissioned DEX actually is, why institutional DeFi on the XRP ledger changes the competitive landscape, and why the launch, yes, the launch of the Euro convertible on the XRP ledger may signal something much bigger than a simple stablecoin deployment. By the end, you'll understand why this isn't hype. This is what we call positioning. And guess what? Positioning is how empires are built. Now, folks, if you can do me a quick favor before we get into the video, make sure hit that thumbs up. The more thumbs up we get, the more love that YouTube will show this video. Let's try to break 1,000 thumbs up for this video, and let's send it absolutely viral. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You don't want to miss a dull update. Now let's jump into it. Look, markets, we got some green. I'd rather have a little bit of green than a little bit of red, I'll tell you that much. Bitcoin 67,352, ETH 1,981, XRP $1.46. Total cryptocurrency market cap 2.33 trillion. Now I'm still expecting a bounce at some point on Bitcoin. When is that some point? No idea. No one knows. It's soon. And by soon, I mean like it's before summer. That's soon. I thought it would have happened by now. Clearly it hasn't, but it's coming. A little bit of a bounce on Bitcoin, 80, maybe 90. If we're really lucky and the wind takes us the right way, maybe we go back to 100 one more time, but then that's it. Then the rotation begins. Remember, the more money that comes into crypto, the higher Bitcoin goes right now on this bounce, the better off we're going to be for an altcoin rotation. Now let's get into the news because today is a huge day. Their permission DEX is now enabled on the XRP ledger. That's right. Let me explain to you what this actually means because most people listen to the video, they probably don't get it. The XRP ledger has always had a native decentralized exchange built into the layer 1. Not a smart contract add-on here, not a bolt-on protocol. It's actually embedded into the core ledger itself. But there was an issue. The issue was institutions could not use it. Why? Simple, compliance. So your regulated financial institutions cannot interact with these anonymous liquidity pools. Why? Because they didn't know where the money was coming from. They didn't know if a terrorist organization, a trafficker, illegal money that they were doing business with. So they couldn't use it. They needed KYC boundaries. They needed counterparty controls. They needed permissioned access. Well, folks, friends, family, that's exactly what just went live. The permission DEX, it now allows regulated financial institutions to access on-chain liquidity, but here's the kicker, it will have defined compliance domains. Think of it like this. It's not the DeFi casino liquidity we're looking at, right? It is segregated liquidity pools where only verified participants can trade. So banks can now trade tokenized access FX liquidity, execute on-chain swaps, operate within regulatory guardrails, all directly on the ledger. This is not your retail DeFi. This is capital markets infrastructure. This is the first real bridge between TradeFi compliance and on-chain execution happening natively on a layer one. This is absolutely massive, everyone. Ethereum got compliance wrappers, Solana has institutional experiments, and the XRP ledger just embedded it into the core rails. And once institutions are inside the rails, guess what? They don't leave. That's right. But the permission decks, look, that's just the doorway. What is being built behind closed doors is much bigger. Yeah. We're talking a Ripple Insights article from not too long ago, talking about the institutional DeFi on the ledger. This isn't marketing, everyone. This is a featured stack because XRP's utility is now officially expanding across 3 different pillars: payments, liquidity, and credit marketers. And now the tooling to support institutional scale financing, it's being layered directly in. I mean, we're talking about multi-purpose tokens, permission domains, on-chain lending protocols, confidential transfers, credentials, token escrow, batch transactions. Folks, this is not, hey, numbers go up tech. I don't think so. This is financial plumbing. Let's break this down. Your multi-purpose tokens, they allow institutions to issue structured financial products, not just simple ERC20 style tokens. Permission domains then lets the institutions control who can interact with these specific assets. Your confidential transfers enable privacy at the transaction level, which is critical for your banks. Lending protocols, they bring on-chain credit markets, but they're built for regular capital. Credentials, they allow identity verification directly within wallet interactions. In your batch transactions and escrow-enabled automation of complex workflows like syndicated loans, structured payouts, or tokenized bond settlements. What does that mean, Rip? Well, it means you're going to get tokenized treasuries. It means we will now have on-chain FX. And it also means that we'll get enterprise-grade credit insurance. And guess what? In the middle of all this, XRP sits as the liquidity bridge. Here's the bigger shift, because Ethereum optimized for open composability. The XRP ledger is optimizing for regulated composability. And when trillions of dollars in traditional assets move on chain, they're not going to choose chaos. They're not going to choose high gas fees. They're going to choose compliant native rails. That's the game XRP is playing. But infrastructure, it is only real when institutions actually deploy. And one just did. The Euro convertible goes live. That's right. This was announced this morning. This is probably don't know what this is. Probably don't get it, but I'll break it down. So SG Forge, the Euro convertible, is now officially on the ledger. This is not just like think of like a random startup stablecoin. This is the digital asset arm of Societe Generale. This is one of Europe's largest banks. This is a regulated Euro-backed stablecoin under the French regulatory oversight. It's already launched everywhere else. But now it is live on the XRP ledger. Institutions do not experiment casually, folks. What do they do first? They evaluate the settlement speed, your finality guarantees, your cost structure, and your operational scrutiny here. And the XRP ledger, it checks off all those boxes: low fees, fast finality, and predictable execution. And critically, Ripple's custody tech, it is powering this deployment. Ripple isn't just building the software, it is building the institutional grade custody.
So the institutional grade custody is coming. Ripple is making moves. Things are running rapidly. Hang on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's get the likes up. And let me finish this video real quick to push to the next one.
The compliance tooling and the integration layers. This isn't a theory anymore, everyone. You can see the little fancy video here. When a bank of this caliber deploys on your chain, it sends a signal, not to retail, but to the other banks. And banks copy infrastructure decisions that reduce friction and regulatory risk. This is how the network effect forms in finance. It's quiet, it's strategic, but here's where it gets even more interesting, because the XRP ledger wasn't their first choice. Yeah. Interesting, right? You can see right here, this is their own tweet. They tried Ethereum and Solana. Didn't cut it. Just didn't cut it. Look, it's not about what chain wins here. It's about what chain's going to capture the most institutional flows. Retail volume is noisy, it's messy, it's dirty, it's sloppy. Institutional rails, those are sticky. If the XRP ledger becomes the preferred settlement layer for compliant tokenized assets, XRP doesn't need hype cycles. Oh no. It becomes liquidity infrastructure, and liquidity infrastructure is what the global financial systems run on. Most people thought XRP's win right here would look like a parabolic candle now, didn't you? Well, I'm sorry to say, we did not get that parabolic candle. But real wins in crypto, they don't always look explosive. Remember that. They are boring. Compliance upgrades, permission liquidity, banks issue stablecoins, custody integrations. That's how financial empires are built. The permission DEX officially opens the door. Your institutional DeFi built the framework. Euro's convertible validated the rails, and now the ledger sits in a position that most chains never prepared for. We're talking regulated capital. The market thinks this is just another cycle, but if the infrastructure thesis plays out like I think it's going to, XRP didn't just survive, everyone. It architected its next phase, and 99% is still looking at the chart. Someone please help them. That's going to do it for me. As always, hit that thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see all y'all on the next one.
So shout out to Crypto Bullwinkle. And moving forward, this is my main man, Money Maker. Let's see what Al has to say. XRP, they just got the green light. Don't make this mistake.
They just got the green light, and don't make this mistake. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, money makers. We're going to talk about XRP. It's the XRP news show. We're also going to talk about some crypto news. All I ask from you is that you give me a beautiful smile to send out those good vibes. Smash that like button. This is how you do it, right? You take the finger and you go boop, right? And you smash that like button. Let's try to get 1,000 likes on this video. I'm giving you a challenge, guys. I know you guys like challenges, so we're going to go with that challenge. 1,000 likes on this video. Currently, XRP is sitting at $1.48, up almost 1% here, 0.83. Also, Bitcoin is up 0.96. And we got Ethereum up 1.38, above 2,000 level. For the most part, the crypto market has not been moving too much since we got back from the long weekend here. Pretty flat. It's funny how, you know, sometimes the market can go berserk, and then cool off and nothing happens and sideways movement. And this is just how it is, right? If we go to the, it says they need to burn fat. We're back into the 1 digit for the crypto fear and greed index. So we're back at 8. The crypto market, I think it might be at the longest period of time of days in this range, very similar probably to this range here in July of 2022, the FTX crash. But outside of that, we haven't really had a time frame where we've been so fearful, right? And that's an interesting scenario, an interesting question that we've talked a lot about on the channel. So I'm not going to get too into it, but you know, the mistake here, in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. This video is for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes only. But I think the risk here is thinking that, you know, the market is going to continue doing this going forward and just kind of click out a little bit and zone out of the crypto market. Historically, and again, maybe history is different this time, maybe it plays out you know, in a different manner, but history has told us that when you have this long period of fear, then that is close to the bottom. Now, it may drop, you know, to another level down, right? We've seen that happen in the past, but I still think that because we didn't see the crescendo, we didn't see the banana zone, we're not going to see a massive sell-off of, you know, from Bitcoin going down, for example, about 75%. It's down almost 40-ish%, right? So I don't think we're going to see that next leg, but it might happen. And the fact is that right now I look at YouTube and I look at the viewership numbers, and it's not just me. You know, I still have some viewership people that are, you know, coming to just listen to my bad dad jokes. But for the most part, it's been hard. Like yesterday, I re-uploaded a video because it, you know, the morning video just, it was like for an hour was okay. And then suddenly it just dropped by like 50%. And that usually doesn't happen. But I guess the algorithm is seeing that people aren't interested in crypto videos and XRP videos. And so it's just, you know, suppressing it. And it's because people aren't interested. And I get it. I understand it. But my experience has told me that when this happens, when interest is really, really low, that's usually close to the bottom. And people are going to make this mistake. They zone out. And when do they come back in? They come back in when we're already, you know, up 30, 40, 50% of the recovery. And maybe it will take some time, but there's going to be some movements. There's going to be volatile times. And you have to be ready for that. You have to have a plan in place, and you have to make sure you understand that there's going to be risk and there's going to be potential reward, just like in any investment in the crypto market and any investment in general, okay? So, you know, now's the time to sit back, relax a little bit, think of a plan. And actually, a lot of you have told me in the comment section that you have a plan in place, that you're thinking about what happens if XRP, you know, drops to the $1 level. What happens if it suddenly starts to go on a rally? You know, many people, they will only add to a position when it's going up. And there's some people that like to dollar cost average. There's some people that will, you know, buy the dip. You know, Sailor, last night we talked about this, he continues to buy the dip. And some people, they, you know, they wait for opportunities. Some people jump from thing to thing. Every single person has their own tactic and their own way of doing things. And so it's very important to try to figure out what's best for you. Maybe you're going to start using AI in your trading. You know, every single person has to learn, has to be dynamic, has to start, you know, improving themselves. Because if you don't, then you get stuck and you keep making the same mistakes and you keep doing the same thing. I want to see, by the way, if we're talking about, you know, there's nothing really today outside the Fed meeting minutes that are coming out at 2 p.m. Today. So that might move the markets a little bit. But what I want to see here is on the 4-hour chart, see if potentially Bitcoin and Ethereum can have that crossover, because the sell-off, right? XRP was pumping on Sunday, and then it started selling off as soon as Bitcoin and Ethereum were about to cross over on the 1348 EMA. So I want to see if this happens again. If they're going to cross over, let's say the next 4 hours, we rise a little bit and there's a potentially crossover here, what happens? Does the market sell off again? And then I know that it's shenanigans, right? I know that it's manipulation, because if that happens exactly the same type of action here, then I know that someone is trying to suppress the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then the question is why? Why are they trying to do this? And that's, a broader discussion of why this is happening and why they're trying to do this. And it comes from multiple factors. One could be that they're accumulating, but they don't want the market to know that they're accumulating of a potential Clarity Act signage, right, or passing. And then the same way that the crypto market sold off, it could recover and we could potentially see a short squeeze there. And so these institutions that might be accumulating right now don't want the prices to go up too much, because then they can't get it at these cheaper prices, and they're taking that risk, right? But many times they'll buy OTC, or and that won't affect the price of the asset itself, but they're still accumulating at fixed prices around where the current spot price is. And so I think that that's what's going on right now. If we go and we take a look, there's no real update on what's happening with Iran and those talks. It's not looking too positive, but who knows what can happen there. And we got an update from Eleanor that the White House is considering another stablecoin yield meeting with banks and crypto reps potentially on Thursday, though nothing is confirmed, according to Eleanor. So there's not real movements on that point. So the two things that we've talked about over the past few weeks that potentially could move the crypto market in a positive way have not come yet. We'll see. Something that could help the crypto market in the short term is if money start coming in, because Wells Fargo says up to $150 billion in US tax refunds could trigger a surge in retail buying. Anna said this could revive YOLO market, a setup that has historically boosted Bitcoin and crypto. Suddenly people get their refunds and they're looking for an opportunity, and they say, oh, the crypto market has been, smacked down in the past few months. Maybe now's the time. We know that according to Coinbase CEO, by the way, retail has been buying the dip. And it seems that the problem is more institutions, right? And the other big money that is kind of started to sell off, and the ETFs also that we saw huge outflows, and that weighs on the market. And so when Bitcoin and Ethereum are weak, and it affects the rest, right? And it was interesting because we had that one big day where, right, on Friday and Saturday, Sunday, where meme coins started suddenly popping up, and we had Pepe, for example, go from Saturday here to the peak up 35% in about 24 hours. And then it just the volume spiked out of nowhere, and then volume disappeared. So what's going on here? And again, it wasn't just Pepe, it was other meme coins that we're seeing love and volume. Even Doge, right, went up there about 20% in one day. So what happened there? Why was it Friday? Why was it Saturday? What's the reason that money suddenly came in? There wasn't any headlines, and and then the sell-off came exactly on that potential crossover here on the 1348 EMA. So again, this is my theory. I don't know who it is and what they're doing. Some will say it's Binance, some will say it's BlackRock, some will say it's other exchanges that are manipulating. We don't really know, but potentially, again, if we have this crossover here, look at Ethereum crossed over back on January 19th on the 4-hour chart. And since then, it's one time here and one time here. It potentially had the crossover, and it sold off on that. Bitcoin, same thing. Since January 19th, had that potential crossover here, didn't. Had the potential crossover here, didn't. And so we're getting in a zone where every single kind of movement to the upside could be a potential crossover. And that would potentially give us some momentum here, because a lot of algos, they'll trade on this crossover. So we'll see what will potentially happen here in the next coming days. Now, it seems that we have the green light Daily just confirmed the cuts are not stopping. 75 BPS to neutral is Fed speak for we are reloading the money printer. 3 more cuts are now the base case. So this could potentially be a situation where interest rates continue to go down. We've talked about this actually a few days ago. We looked at the data, and the data showed us that the last 2 crypto banana zones, interest rates in the US were close to zero, either zero or about 1.5%. Well, now they are very high. And I think that is one of the factors that we did not experience the banana zone. Everybody will say, oh, it's, this and that, and institutions and the tariffs. But the bottom line is that interest rates were high and the money was expensive and people didn't take out money or loans in order to put in the crypto market. And a lot of money that would have potentially come if we had low interest rates didn't. So I think that is one of the factors that maybe we're going to have a shift right where the market potentially gets that juice from interest rates being lowered. Because again, when interest rates are lower, it's a trifecta. The potential of taking out a loan to invest, that's the possibility. The mortgage, right? Every mortgage goes down because interest rates are going down. And the regular loans, like your car loan and your credit card loan and all that goes down. And then people have more money in their pocket. They can either buy a new TV or they can invest. And it seems people are getting smarter because of the way that they see that inflation is devaluing the dollar. So many of them are investing. And where could they potentially invest? A market that is by many seen as to be right now devalued, right, and low valued, with potential of major growth. So again, that could be something that we need to take into consideration. But people are still, and investors are still making moves and removing risk. And billionaire Peter Thiel fully exits Ethereum treasury firm Zilla, selling his entire stake. So some people are, taking profits. Some people are getting out of positions. And, it's all up to you, again, what you want to do and how what's your risk versus reward ratio, how much risk you can take. Every single investor and every single person is a little bit different. Okay. The Japan-US trade deal officially is on the books. So this is a good thing. One of the things we were fearful about was the situation with Japan and what would happen with them, and would the Japan carry trade unravel? So far, it seems that they have a trade deal with the U.S. New president. They have the president. She has a super majority in their parliament, so she can get things done, and hopefully they can get their economy back on track there. Again, remember, Japan was one of the strongest countries in the world. Maybe some would say even the strongest in the 80s. They had a boom of real estate. Their real estate guys were the richest people in the world, and it flipped, right? And then suddenly technology started coming in the 80s, and all the richest people became people with technology companies. So things can change. And again, I talked about this last night. We have to be ready for the possibility that maybe the US falls from grace, or the UK falls from grace, or where else are you guys from? Canada, Australia, Netherlands, right? Fall from grace. And then what happens? I can't keep my hopes that the government is going to subsidize me in my later years. So we have to be ready for all the types of scenarios. I like this. Brad gave us the muscles. I actually reported on this, that Grayscale says that XRP has become one of the assets that clients are asking a lot about recently. And Brad acknowledged that and gave us the thumbs up there. So it will be very interesting to see how today plays out. So far, the market is in the green this morning. Can we see a continuation here? Can we see the market get some juice? Can we get that crossover here on the 1348 EMA? So far, the technicals are not getting any better just yet. Still, a lot of red. But we know that this can flip very fast. A little bit of a push, a little bit of a 4 or 5% pump, and then we could potentially see us back on the choo-choo train here. We got the roller coaster. Maybe I need a choo-choo train. A video of a train. So it will be very interesting to see how things play out today. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Do you think the meeting minutes are going to give us a good movement or a bad movement here going forward? Also, I wanted to, maybe I'll do like a poll or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I should change up the hours of the videos a little bit. I
don't know that the meeting notes are going to do anything. And he's right. For some reason, crypto's down, but we know why it's down, guys. Nobody's watching because there's no price action going. But let's see what let's see what client actually, let's see what digital perspective.
Well,
has
I
to
tell you
say.
something. We got a very special guest today. It's Hugo Filion from Flare Networks. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, Hugo Filion from Flare Networks. Hugo, how you doing, man?
Really well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. And by the way, not only is it thank you for being here, you're also coming to XRP Las Vegas, baby. And we're super excited
Looking
to have
forward
you
to it.
on stage this year, man.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, and we are too, no doubt about it. Well, listen, I want to get into this, and I want to keep it tight and succinct here. This is really DeFi's year. You know, everyone knows here in the U.S., we're on the precipice of getting the legislation needed to really define the digital asset space, and along with that comes DeFi. So without further ado, we know there's really two things that are very exciting for me. One, I'm going to title this video, and I told you this off camera, the greatest unlock of idle liquidity in crypto history. That's what this video is, because we're talking about putting XRP, the assets, and they could do other assets too. But largely XRP has been an idle asset that people buy and they hold and they don't have anything to do with it yet. And they've been waiting for the prospect of a highly regulated, highly legislated market for that asset to get its full intended scale use, right? But you have built Flare Networks, which allows the potential and possibility to stake your assets, earn yields, and this is something that's brand new for XRP holders. So tell us about that, and then give us a little bit of the numbers since you've really opened the doors here, because it's been an explosion of growth.
Yep, absolutely. So look, Flare is an end-to-end economic system for putting your XRP to work. We've been through a long period of building, followed by a long period of business development, whereby we had to get a stable in and make sure that there was enough stablecoin liquidity on the chain in order to start off this XRP Fi ecosystem. So we have always been XRP primary. Of course, Flare has the option to add other F assets and likely will over some period of time, but XRP has always been kind of our focus. We've always thought, this is an asset that really works for us. We understand it. We understand the holder base. We know, that it is quantitatively different to Bitcoin, and we like its characteristics. So XRP has always been our kind of, our core constituency in terms of what we want to build for and where we want to take the ecosystem. And for the longest time, we've always thought, well, you should be able to do what everyone else can do with their tokens, and that's kind of why we built Flare. So, like I said, it's an end-to-end ecosystem. It has DEXs, perps, DEXs. So regular DEXs where you can trade your XRP for other tokens or provided as liquidity. Both V2, V3, and now V4 type DEXs. So this is like the Uniswap standard. And then we've got perps DEXs where you can use your XRP as collateral to take sophisticated risk positions. We've got lending markets. You've got a sort of older style lending market, which is a fork compound called Kinetic. And you have Mystic by Morpho, which is one of the newer style lending markets, isolated risk, very, very institutional flavored. Morpho just did a big deal with an institution. So, this is a type of lending protocol that institutions are happy to use, both, exchanges and other parties within the ecosystem. Then, of course, we've got Firelight, which is really something we incubated with Centaura, which are the builders behind Firelight. And we think this is an amazing, novel primitive for the entire space to provide DeFi cover across the entire blockchain industry. A great place, I think, to absorb billions of XRP over the next couple of years in terms of being able to provide that cover. Perfect place really for balancing the size of XRP and the need for insurance in order to make DeFi institutional capable. So those are the core primitives. And then layering on top of that, we have vaults. So we have the Earn XRP Vault, which today, and I don't know when this is going out, just announced that they're raising their cap substantially, so you can put more FXRP to work. Of course, we'll have other vaults. And we will have there's vaults for Mystic's lending protocol. And so you don't have to put all this. You don't have to use this ecosystem directly yourself. You can put your XRP in. You can put your stables in. You can have sophisticated risk managers that put your assets to work. And then, most importantly, very, very soon we'll be launching smart accounts, which is a really nice way of being able to use Flare directly from the XRP ledger. It lets you use your XRP address to direct what happens on Flare from your XRP address. So it creates transactions on the XRP ledger, and it effectively uses Flare's data protocols to be able to execute those transactions on your behalf on Flare. So it's a great UI, but it's also really nice for both ecosystems. Generates transactions on the XRP ledger, and it puts your money to work on Flare.
It's a giant, I think of it like a giant mall, a giant decentralized mall for all these different possibilities of lending and yield. And it's like, and you've worked really hard to make it safe to use and secure and all of this. And by the way, and to that point, there's an institutional conversation that's happening too. But before we get there, what kind of growth have you seen? Let's get some numbers for people to really understand this.
Okay, so it's mid-Feb.
Yep.
Right, and we launched it in. We started FXRP around the 20th of September 2025. So it's been about 4-5 months, and we've grown from zero. We had caps at the beginning, and we're just about to hit, I think, about 100 million XRP, which is absolutely vast, right? Like, no one has ever done this within the XRP ecosystem before at this scale. And I'm really proud to say that the scale we've reached is high, but it's all individuals, right? At the moment. I happen to know that there are, some institutions coming into the next cap raise for Firelight, for instance, but up until now, it's been entirely individuals. And that means that we have been very successful in finding product market fit, which means ultimately I expect that number to grow very rapidly over the long term.
It is quite exciting to see the level of explosive growth that you've experienced in such a short period of time. And again, I think your timing is quite remarkable because, now we're on the precipice of getting this legislation, which is going to be a massive unlock, not just for retail, but for institutions, which brings us back to that part of the conversation we were just touching on. I'm seeing you talk about these conversations now with institutional involvement, and they want to get into this game. There's two sides of the market. And up until now, we've been talking about retail unlock. Now we're talking about institutional unlock. This is very real for Flare Networks and what you're doing. Hugo, talk more about that. And if you can, who's actually interested?
So you've got, you can separate institutions kind of into different categories.
Yeah.
The first category being what we call crypto institutions, like crypto hedge funds, crypto exchanges, names like Uphold, Coinbase, Kraken, those kind of people. Those are institutions. And actually, if you look at our market, which is XRP, those institutions hold a vast amount of XRP, a massive amount of XRP. So for us, unlocking those institutions, those crypto institutions, to come and use their XRP on Flare on behalf of their users through earn programs and the like, which people opt into, that's a huge unlock for Flare's ecosystem. Yeah. You're talking upwards of $20 billion worth of XRP, if not more. Now, that's a process. It takes time.
Yeah.
I have, as I said, I happen to know that some of the institutions within that category are coming into Firelight's next cap raise. So that's the first set, and that's already on our roadmap. And they require a certain set of things, which Flare already has. But then you have more traditional financial institutions, they're not crypto focused, and the assets they're interested in are not necessarily crypto assets. And this is where I think the XRP Ledger's MPT tokens and Flare are the perfect match. Because ultimately, XRP Ledger and Ripple have been really successful so far in getting people to tokenize assets on the XRP Ledger. That's been a really good growth story. I believe last week they surpassed Solana in issued RWA assets, right? And we know that RWA assets are where, we know that this industry is going to go in that direction. And Flare just so happens to connect really well to the XRP Ledger in terms of data and the ability to do things on the XRP Ledger that can then be mirrored onto Flare. And we also just so happen to be building a compute layer, which allows for extreme computational capabilities, i.e. vast numbers of transactions, but also most importantly for institutions, privacy, whilst retaining compliance. So because it's hugely programmable, we can have compliance baked in with privacy and compute, which means that Flare can be a place for those MPT tokens that are issued on the XRP ledger to be used in protocols that don't exist on the XRP ledger. So, there's probably 5 or 6 different categories of protocol of things you would want to be able to do in RWA. And that's just replicating stuff you can do in TradFi already.
Right. It's quite remarkable what's taking place here. I mean, we are watching the birth of a new financial system unfold right before our eyes. It is quite remarkable. I get so excited about this because the space moves so fast, and you just got to, to me, it keeps me young. I'm much older than you, I believe. So, I really do enjoy watching this. Now, what kind of ranges of returns are people seeing, Hugo? Because I know that you could, and I just mean a ballpark range, like people are experiencing from this to this. What are people seeing in returns and yield?
So, returns pretty standard across the industry, right? They're sort of like for basic, basic sort of yield is sort of somewhere between 3 and 7%, right?
What's wrong with that?
But then, it's not bad, especially as you got 0 before. But, once you put your assets in a vault, and that vault can be perhaps more sophisticated with the way that those assets are managed, then you can start seeing, higher returns in the 10 to 15% range. Obviously, it's not financial advice. I can't, can't suggest that people do things like that. But those things are available, and they will be giving good yields.
When I think about this new world and way of using your assets out here, it's one thing we talk about on this channel quite often since its inception is the holy grail of never having to sell your XRP, right? Is never having to sell your assets even more broadly, because that's what the wealthiest people in the world do. And this is a way to put these things to work, whether you're talking about earning a yield, like a bond rate style yield, or whether you're talking about lending and borrowing against your assets, but in a smart, efficient way where, people are borrowing to get something else that's profit generating or revenue generating, right? Instead of buying jet skis or a trip vacation, but this is remarkable.
Yeah, you should never borrow. You should never borrow against your assets to buy luxury items.
You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. That actually is financial advice. That's very good advice. Yeah, exactly. And, again, this is the greatest idle unlock of idle liquidity in the crypto history, I believe. and it's just getting started. And in combination with seeing institutions come in, like you mentioned, Uphold, you're talking about potential possibilities of taking advantage of this as like pushing a button at some point here, not too long in the future, and going, yeah, I'd like to experience the 3 to 6%, yield on my thing by this option. And you're in it.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
The goal.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
And to me, this is, first mover advantage, all the rest of it, right? This is how you get there, because I really do see the person that gets us to that place where someone can open their crypto exchange app, albeit Uphold or some other exchange, and yeah, I'm going to do that today. And it stays right in my account. Everything's safe. I'm earning yield. I can unlock it and turn it off, but I can't move the assets as long as I'm engaged with that particular opportunity. To me, you're very close to that.
I mean,
being a reality.
if you look at the industry, people have tried this with XRP before.
Yep.
No one has gotten anywhere close.
That's right.
To 100 million XRP within a couple of months.
That's right.
That's because other chains aren't gonna bend over backwards and work their asses off to make sure that there's an ecosystem for XRP to take part in. Only Flare has built out an ecosystem for XRP. End-to-end ecosystem. Solana's not going to do that. They don't care enough about XRP. Why would they? They care about Sol. None of these other ecosystems are going to do this. And that's why we've been successful, because we have focused on one asset, and we will continue focusing on that asset until the scale of the ecosystem is at the place where
So thanks for joining, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let me know what you think about the Flare XRP ecosystem and the history there. But as always, thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let's get back to the money, guys, and stay dangerous. Miners out.